Today, we're going to talk about a conflict that has unleashed one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world, but one that, often gets lost in the headlines. We're going to break down the war in Sudan, how it all started, the devastating impact it's having, and why its shockwaves are actually being felt all across the globe. And look, that's not an exaggeration. That one sentence right there really frames this entire story. We are talking about a catastrophe on a scale that is it's difficult to wrap your head around. It's a complete societal collapse, and it's happening right now. Okay, so to really get what's going on, we have to start right at the heart of it. Who is actually fighting, and what was the spark that lit the fuse on this absolutely devastating war? Well, at its core, this is a brutal, violent power struggle between two men and their massive armies. On one side, you've got the official Sudanese armed forces, the SAF, led by General El Burhan. And on the other side, you have this incredibly powerful paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, commanded by General Hemeti. Here's the thing. They used to be allies, but their bitter rivalry for ultimate control of the country has literally torn Sudan apart.
Now, this conflict didn't just appear out of thin air. Sudan has really struggled with instability pretty much since its independence. But the really crucial piece of the backstory is the rise of the RSF. This group grew out of the infamous Janjaweed militias, the brutal horsemen who were a key part of the genocide in Darfur. So after popular protests finally toppled the dictator al-Bashir back in 2019, there was this huge hope for democracy. But the plan to merge the RSF into the regular army completely fell apart. And on April 15th, 2023, all that tension just exploded into all-out war.
And the consequence of that power struggle? A human catastrophe. The numbers here are just staggering, and it's so important to remember that every single one represents a real person, a life completely shattered. It's estimated that more than 150,000 people have been killed. And we're not just talking about casualties from the fighting. That number includes countless people who have died from starvation and from diseases that are spreading like wildfire, all because the country's entire health system has just collapsed. And then there's this. An almost unbelievable 12 million people have been forced to flee their homes. Just think about that for a second. 12 million people, uprooted, with absolutely nowhere safe to go. And to put that number into perspective, just look at this comparison. Sudan's displacement crisis is now significantly larger than those in Syria and Ukraine combined. It is, quite simply, the largest displacement crisis on the entire planet today, and it's not even close. The reality on the ground is just a total system failure. Hospitals aren't just getting damaged, they're being occupied by fighters. Food isn't just scarce, it's being actively used as a weapon of war. We're seeing widespread ethnic cleansing, especially in Darfur, and the deliberate, systematic destruction of everything a society needs to function. But here's the thing about a disaster of this magnitude. It never stays contained within one country's borders. It's sending a massive shockwave across the region, and it's destabilizing an entire corner of the African continent. Sudan borders 7 other nations, and every single one of them is already fragile in its own way. Now they're being completely overwhelmed by waves of refugees and cross-border violence. The conflict in Sudan is threatening to ignite a much, much wider fire across the Horn of Africa and the Sahel. And that regional firestorm, it's now sending sparks across the globe, creating a planet-sized problem with huge stakes for international security and, believe it or not, for the environment itself. The world really can't afford to look away from this. Sudan's location right along the Red Sea is absolutely critical for global trade. If it becomes a failed state, it could create a vacuum, a safe haven for extremist groups, which complicates security for everybody. The stability of this entire strategic region is on the line. What makes everything even more complicated is this tangled web of foreign involvement. This isn't just a civil war, it's also a proxy battle. You've got outside powers backing rival sides for their own influence. Russia's Wagner-linked networks are there plundering gold and looking for a port on the Red Sea. For China, all this instability threatens its huge investments. This geopolitical game makes peace incredibly difficult because these outside actors keep fueling the conflict for their own gain. Now, beyond all the geopolitics, the consequences of this war are literally being etched into the earth itself. And to understand this part, you need to know about a region called the Sahel. Sudan is a key part of it. It's this arid belt stretching across Africa that is already on the absolute front lines of climate change. The environmental stress here was extreme even before the war ever started. So the war is basically acting like a giant accelerator for environmental collapse. It's speeding up the spread of deserts as forests are burned and farmland is destroyed. It's polluting water sources, wrecking farming cycles, and creating this vicious loop where conflict and climate change just feed each other, forcing even more people to flee their homes.
Which, it leaves us with this final, really haunting question. When a country has been so completely and utterly shattered, its social fabric is torn, its people are scattered, and its very land is scarred, what does peace even look like? The path forward is incredibly complex. Rebuilding won't just be about signing a treaty. It's going to be about trying to restore an entire nation from the ground up.